I'm Joey.
I'm Jason.
And this is Metal
Monster
Review. It's been a little while since we've done a review, but last episode we were talking about, we gave the review of the 1941 version of The Wolfman. And I did mention to you guys that although I felt it was groundbreaking, but I wouldn't consider it to be the best werewolf movie in horror. So today I'm going to give you, we are going to give you a review of what I personally believe is the best werewolf movie in horror. And this movie has it all. We're going back to the 80s, folks. 1981, An American Werewolf in London. This movie's just fucking great, man. It starts off, you got two guys, best friends, and they're backpacking through England. They're probably touring Europe, just having fun for the summer or whatever. And they end up going to this local pub here in a small village called, I believe, East Proctor. And they go in there. It's known as the Slaughtered Lamb, which I think is the coolest fucking name for a bar ever.
It's magic. You're backpacking through a foreign country and want to get some food, a drink, and get warm. And you see that. And I love the part when his buddy Jack looks at the sign and is like, where's the lamb?
Exactly. It's a severed wolf's head.
Yeah, it's a severed wolf.
You know what I mean?
The place is called the Slaughtered Lamb, but the logo is the severed wolf's head.
Exactly. But they go inside, and you could tell it immediately becomes quiet as soon as they walk in. They're not really, you can tell they're outsiders, and this place is not known for seeing unfamiliar faces. So they don't get exactly a warm reception when they're in there. And they see a 5-starred pentagram on the wall. And Jack inquires, hey, what's that all about? And they just tell him, you know what, you need to go. And they heed the warnings. They tell him, beware the moon and stay on the road. So they end up leaving the Slaughtered Lamb, and they veer off the road. They're kind of goofing off, laughing, no big deal. And they start hearing a howling sound. And they become panicked and frightened.
What I like about that, it's not your normal wolf howl. It's this god-awful screech. It's like it sounds like a wolf, but not quite like a wolf. That's what I like about it.
Yes, I do agree with you. There was something off-putting about it. And one thing I noticed just from rewatching this too, and that they mentioned, it's like they're in front of it. They're like, Jack, it's in front of us. What the hell is that? Is that a dog?
It's circling us.
Yes. And Jack ends up getting attacked and killed, and his friend David runs back, but ends up getting bitten by the wolf. And the local villagers decide to come to the rescue and shoot the wolf, which takes the form of a human. And now David is bitten by the wolf, and the wolf cycle is going on, and he will kill at the next full moon, and it will not end until he kills himself. And one thing I did like about this, which was totally different, was, first of all, I love the special effects by Rick Baker. He did a fucking phenomenal job on this whole thing. When he sees his friend who shows up to visit him and heed the warning, is like the soothsayer, basically, to warn him, hey, listen, you were bitten by a wolf. I'm going to live in limbo here until the cycle ends. You're going to end up killing people, so you need to kill yourself. Can I have a piece of toast? Just throws that into there. You're like, hey, he's sitting there eating breakfast. Yeah, well, what the hell? I guess they didn't get a chance to get anything to eat at the Slaughtered Lamb. You're going to be in limbo for a while. What the hell? Might as well have a full belly.
And poor David, he sort of thinks he's going crazy because the little village they stopped at, they're like covering the whole thing up.
Yes, they are. They're like, this never happened. It was a lunatic that escaped from somewhere.
No, it was some kind of wolf or animal that did this. And they're, no, it was a person. So he's thinking he's going nuts because, like, well, I know what I've seen, but the police are saying a totally different story.
Yeah, because they're trying to play this off like it was a raving lunatic that attacked him. And David was in the hospital for a while, and he was unconscious, and he had all these lacerations coming down his chest. They said that the wounds were treated before he got to the hospital, but he was in shock when they said, "Look, we're sorry to tell you this, but your buddy's dead." Well, he wants to see his buddy, and of course they're not letting him. They end up burying his buddy, but he ends up getting involved with the nurse there at the hospital. So, and she takes him in, and it's cool seeing their little story develop too. Because he ends up getting these weird visions and nightmares, and there's some really killer special effects once again done throughout those visions. You know what I mean? Of him chasing the deer and just decapitating the deer.
I was going to bring that up. I guess one thing would be cool to become a werewolf. Like the werewolf cycle in this movie is you get to have dreams running around naked.
Is that the highlight for you?
Well, I mean, that's not a highlight, but I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, I wish I would have to become a werewolf to dream like that. But
how about the one with his family being killed? You know what I mean?
But there's still that chance of being naked.
All right, so but yeah, he has these wicked visions and nightmares, and you could tell it's really affecting him, and it's really taking a toll on him because he understands he's not the same person at this point in time. He has now become part of the werewolf cycle, and which is what I'm leading into here. The transformation scene. Now, as it goes without saying here throughout this program, we've always, spoilers ahead. If you followed the show, you always know that, but I'm going to throw this out there. Spoilers ahead. This werewolf transformation scene is just fucking awesome, and I love watching that when he throws his arms up. Jesus Christ, I'm burning up. And it's just, you had Bad Moon Rising playing in the background. They picked really killer music for this movie, too, and that's another thing that I really like about it. You'll hear Blue Moon.
The opening scene of the movie opens up showing clips of the countryside, and you got Blue Moon playing.
Yes. You know what I mean? It brings in that atmospheric horror, which I do really enjoy. Bad Moon Rising. You got a lot of killer stuff going on here, but that transformation scene is just fucking awesome.
What makes this my favorite transformation scene is one, the camera rarely pulls away. I mean, it shows stuff, but what I really like about it is it shows that it's painful and hurts to transform.
Yes.
I mean, you watch lots of other movies, it's like a quick morph.
And it just happens.
No, this is painful.
Oh, without a doubt. And you can just see the agony in his face as his ears are growing, his fingernails are growing out. Just that look, you know what I mean?
My favorite part, though, is when he's down on all fours and he starts letting out this scream. You can just hear the bones snapping and his whole face just pushes out like the form of a wolf.
Yes, which I even makes it on the cover. You know what I mean? And that transformation happens again later in the movie, except he's sitting in a movie theater at that time when it happens. So basically now he's transformed and he goes on a killing spree on the full moon. And he's just revolted the next morning when he finds out what happens. He's feeling good. Hey, he's dating a nurse. Life is good for him. And then all of a sudden they find out that, 6 people were killed. And he's disgusted and he wants to turn himself in. He wants arrested, so he's off the street. And he calls his family. He knows what he has to do, but he wants off the street. And he can't get himself arrested. And plus, well, if he did get arrested, I guess we wouldn't have a movie here to talk about. But, you know what I mean? Like, we have pulled logic into these things before.
And I said he called his family, and then he attempted to kill himself with a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it really wasn't working out well for him,
I mean, he had the knife on his wrist, but he couldn't go through with it. But I'm like, that's just a Swiss Army knife.
I get it.
It probably wouldn't have done anything.
But he sees his friend Jack again, who is now decomposing pretty bad. And he goes into a porno movie theater where his buddy Jack's there. And he's there with the other corpses of the people he killed. And they're emphasizing him that he should kill himself. And they're kind of trying to coach him into it. Maybe you should jump in front of a bus. Maybe you should shoot yourself. You know what I mean? And
they're going to give us a pretty horrible ways. And Jack's like, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah. Hey guys, he is my buddy. Okay, cut him some slack. I know he ended up killing you, but cut him some slack.
But I don't want him to choke when the three homeless people that he murdered. They're sitting up front, and instead about choking, and Jack's like, "Oh, I don't want him to choke," and the homeless guy's like, "I don't care if he chokes.
Yeah, let him choke." You know what I mean? Which this movie does have some, comic relief and a little bit of levity as well. But this is a movie from the 80s that I'd highly recommend. And if you've never seen this, be sure to check this one out. Me personally, I would consider this to be the best werewolf movie of all time. I don't know if you agree with that statement or...
I agree with it.
I mean, in 1981, you had some really killer werewolf stuff come out. Because remember, The Howling came out that year as well. And I believe Wolfen was out at the same time too. So 1981 was like the year of the werewolf. But this one always stood out. And like I said, The Howling's great too. And, I don't know if I've ever seen Wolfen, but I'm a little familiar with it. But if you're not familiar with this, be sure to check this out. And be sure to subscribe to Metal and Monster Reviews. I'm Joey.
I'm Jason.
And this is Metal
Monster
Review.